Hey everyone, so today I kind of just want to talk about a hero that's gone up and down in value over since her release, and that is Ros Ali. This isn't really a Ros Ali, showcase or anything. It's just talking about heroes that if they were once good and then kind of fall out of the meta, you never know what kind of heroes are going to be introduced that bring heroes that were already good back into relevance, okay? So I could say similar things about Nero, and maybe that's a different discussion for a different video. But Ros Ali, with the introduction of Karma, has really rose in value. And even indirectly, her value has gone up with the introduction of Adeline. So I want to talk about, just briefly what she does. Everyone knows what she does. She switches in between elements. If she's a fire element, she's ignoring defense. If she's a water element, she's doing splash damage, which is actually where she goes the most berserk, right? That's her strongest. Whenever she turns into a water element and she's fighting fire heroes, I think that's her strongest trait right now. So whenever she's ascended, she gets 3 stacks of blocks, which is really important to help her avoid being one-shot by heroes like Divine Yolanda. So along with her ascension, allowing her to attack just that one time is really key against certain heroes in the meta, and that's what I want to talk about. Just finishing this out, she gets an extra stack of block on her basic, and then she also gets invincible for 1 turn, which is really important to help survive, some of those big nukes from Atara or Nero or someone like that. So it's a very relevant ultimate. She also heals herself, and then she can cleanse any kind of debuff that was put on her whenever she counterattacks against a fire or green hero. It does say that this effect cannot be triggered when this hero is controlled. This isn't technically true, because there are certain types of technical control effects, but for some reason it doesn't work. What this should read is this effect cannot be triggered whenever this hero is frozen or asleep or stunned, basically. So that's all that should say, because, and it's one of the things that I want to talk about today, she is a direct counter to someone that taunts her. So that's kind of cool. So the stats that I have her in, she's in 2 different types of builds, right? Because she's not just an arena hero. She is a PvE hero as well. She is amazing in Rifts, at least up to Rift of Chaos 2, where you have all 3 teams. She's great in Rift of Chaos Earth. She's really great in Ash Magisteria. Even the newer stages, she's very good in for stages 17 and 18. And she's really great in Tulpa. So just, if you're looking to maximize efficiency in regards to who to book, like Ros Ali is probably on the top of the list. Now, she is not the best in her category, but she spans a bunch of categories, which is really cool. But the point of the video is talking about how her value has increased again. So finishing out the gear real quick, because some people like when I show this, I do have her in Assassin and in Speed. I do want her to do as much damage as possible in Arena, and this is also good for dungeon builds, but I do switch between dungeon builds and arena builds. So you need her faster for Arena, but whenever she's in dungeons, I use her in Tulpa and I use her in Ash. So whenever I'm running Rift of Chaos, I need the speed, so I just put her in arena build. But whenever she's doing the new stages of dungeons, I get her speed, around 200, but then really maximize on the damage potential. So let's talk about her counters and why, the introduction of new heroes has actually made her quite good. So as we all know, Karma, who is one of the new fire legendaries that I'm a huge fan of, has come out. This hero is really good against Cordelia. It's really good, well, I wouldn't say really good, adequate against Desdemona, which is a really strong character, although there are ways to play around Karma if you have Desdemona. So she's not really a counter. She's just a good person to bring in against Desdemona, but it's tricky to play with her against Desdemona. But I digress there. Karma is one of the reasons why Ros Ali is kind of strong in the meta. This is because people will pick Karma, including myself, even if somebody doesn't have a control hero, just to make them not pick control heroes. Because if they end up picking control heroes, you know Karma will most likely be banned. If not, that's a really bold strategy. But basically, some people will pick Karma to avoid that, right? If they do that, and you pick Ros Ali, they're in a lot of trouble because Ros Ali is most likely going to be faster than Karma. Karma is usually built very slow, but really high max health because she can cut in if any kind of control takes place, any kind of stun, silence, there's a bunch of things. So if you end up picking heroes that don't have any kind of control effect, Ros Ali is going to then get the opportunity to come in, and whenever she attacks a fire hero, she's going to turn into water and then do a bunch of splash damage. Now the thing is even though Karma has a lot of health, or built with a lot of health, her defense is not great. So Ros Ali is kind of going to be shredding her up. She will definitely kill her with the follow-up attack if she doesn't kill her with her ultimate. So if she doesn't kill her with her ultimate, she follows up with her special ability, which does an additional 165% damage and heals her if she had taken any damage prior. This is going to kill or at least put the heroes surrounding Karma at a very low health, which allows you then to clean up. So that is one of the reasons why Ros Ali has risen in value. Another reason why she's risen in value is Adeline has come along. So Ros Ali doesn't really have any direct relationship with Adeline, but Adeline switches in between these two modes, right? Her Onrush and Ironclad. And whenever someone switches a mode, it's called, like a support ability. Alysia here, and I've talked about Alysia whenever I was going over Adeline in Adeline's own video. Whenever a support ability is cast, Alysia will counterattack against Adeline, and I've talked about how a single ultimate ability from Alysia can one-shot an Adeline, and that still holds true. But Alysia, again, is also extremely, extremely weak against Ros Ali. You can do a crap ton of damage against not only Alysia, but all of the surrounding heroes surrounding Alysia if you get an attack off with Ros Ali. It doesn't even need to be her ultimate. If she is silenced or something like that, from a Royce or a Desdemona, being able to go in and do double hit on the Alysia sometimes is enough to actually kill the Alysia or to kill one of the surrounding supporting heroes. So that's another reason why Ros Ali has climbed up in value. On top of that, in the higher ends of Arena or RTA, Ralph is a very strong damage mitigator. He also has a ultimate ability that taunts everyone. And this is what I was saying where a control effect doesn't allow Ros Ali to counterattack. Taunt is a version of control. It's a version of a control effect. But for some reason, it does not work on Ros Ali. So if Ralph were to try and AoE taunt the team, Ros Ali would counter the Ralph with her special ability and cleanse the taunts. So then she would be able to, do her ult whenever her turn came around. Because most Ralphs are built kind of speedy to get the AoE taunt off. So Ros Ali, extremely strong in that regard. Other than that, she is still really strong against certain wood heroes. She tends to be slower than people like Alysia, who can definitely knock her out of, out of the match for at least 2 rounds with her ultimate ability, which is very strong. But if they try and do some kind of basic or don't have the ability to stun her, Ros Ali is going to counter and most likely one-shot. She's also very, very strong against Jerome. Jerome is another hero that has kind of risen up in the meta not just because of Nero and Atara and Zoltan, but also because he's kind of, he's not very weak to Alysia. So Alysia can definitely charm him with her double attack because he is a wood hero. But Jerome scales off of attack, and a lot of people don't know, but Alysia's damage comes from the difference between her attack and the enemy's attack. So she really doesn't have any shot of one-shotting Jerome with her ultimate ability. On top of that, even her follow-up usually doesn't kill him, but he does get charmed. But that can also be kind of risky whenever you have somebody, like Karma. And I'm hoping that you guys are kind of seeing, the revolving door here. Hence why Ros Ali continues to kind of rise in value. She is a really sneaky pick. When I was talking about red, green, blue heroes that are almost as good as LDs or even better than some LDs, and she was an honorable mention, it's for those reasons. Like, against specific matchups, if any of these relevant red heroes are picked, or you need a direct out to a really strong green hero, Ros Ali is a fantastic pick. Just going back to the wood heroes, Cordelia, she can easily one-shot a Cordelia. The problem is the coding in the game is a little weird, where sometimes Cordelia's trait will not register the stacks that Ros Ali puts on herself as a stat increasing effect, and sometimes it does. So it's kind of the roll of the dice to bring her in against a Cordelia without a counter. So that is a bit annoying. On top of that, there's still some relevant heroes in the meta like Ashlyn. She is a weaker pick nowadays, but there are some really strong Ashlyns out there that are built for damage instead of control. But if the Ros Ali is not one-shot by an Ashlyn, she most likely is going to counterattack and kill her. Also very strong against Jocasta as well. So yeah, just a little discussion video on Ros Ali specifically, but the point of the video is to talk about these heroes that people assume fall out of favor eventually. And a lot of times that is true because of power creep, but it's not always the case. There are a lot of times where heroes like Ros Ali will come back, rise from the ashes per se, to become really relevant again. In turn, I think even Nero is a relevant hero nowadays because of the rise of Ros Ali and Karma and Ashlyn. Nero is so weak to a lot of heroes. Most, importantly, heroes like Jerome. It's not even fair. But if a Jerome is not picked and someone goes like Ros Ali Karma or has like Karma Alysia, Nero is also a really strong pick. But we will try and show you an example. A team like this, you'll see if you have a strong Ros Ali and you can, let's say, jump into her. Now, obviously, you can't do this on RTA, but the point that I would try and get across here is if your Ros Ali is fast enough, right? Let's say she's outspeeding a Bocce. She normally is a high risk to hit a Bocce. But if you have enough speed and someone brings in an Alysia, you can then use your Ros Ali to do a double kind of attack on the Alysia to hopefully have the ability to clear the Bocce without even attacking the Bocce. So if you go into... I did not try and do that. Okay, so like this is a scenario. Here you would just target the Alysia, and the splash damage alone is going to kill the Bocce. So that's what I'm saying. Alysia is such a strong pick right now because of Adeline. Adeline is a very strong hero. She counters a good chunk of the meta, and then on top of that, she's just kind of a nuisance with being able to completely mitigate just one of the threats. So Alysia is a very strong pick against her. but you run the risk of having the counter pick, of the Ros Ali, which is pretty cool. On top of that, let's see if we can find someone in 3v3. Because another thing that I kind of want to mention in Arena that a lot of people don't know, and I had to stumble upon this just randomly, but let's say someone has an A2 Divine Yolanda, right? Like this account has. So Divine Yolanda, and there's a couple other heroes that also do this, but you need to be careful of the wording. If Divine Yolanda is Ascension 2, upon taking lethal damage, she converts the damage received into healing. Ros Ali's splash damage actually gets around this. So if there's an A2 Yolanda, you have the ability to do enough splash damage where her healing doesn't even register. So a team like this, right? You'll have a team like this. We'll do our little jump thing again. We're going to have the ability to attack the opposing Fire Alysia. And when we do that, it's going to hurt a lot of his team, and then you can kind of just clean up with, another fast hero. In this case, we're going to use somebody like Divine Yolanda. So we'll bring in our jump spell. I don't know if his Fire Alysia is going to outspeed ours or not. It might, but it shouldn't kill anybody. I don't even know who it's going to target. If it targets the Ros Ali, okay. So here, we'll jump into our Ros Ali, and then we will target the Fire Alysia, and you'll just see how much splash damage this actually does. So 15,000, and on top of that, we got kind of lucky with hitting the Fire Alysia to do additional splash damage. But you saw how low the Divine Yolanda was there, right? So that's kind of the point I was trying to get across, is if you do enough splash damage to the two targets, or let's say you attack someone that doesn't die on the first ultimate, you're then going to be able to finish off that Divine Yolanda before she even gets a chance to heal up from her A2. So yeah, I wanted to show you guys that and just have a little discussion about heroes that can definitely, increase in value over time. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Just a quick little discussion video, and I appreciate you watching. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.